Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Strive Dialogues. Today, we are going to follow up our discussion on the Northeast, which we had with General Shukeen Chauhan. In that, we had discussed in detail about the problems which the Northeast is currently having and given a slight bit of intro to what we can do to ensure that the situation improves to discuss this very important issue, which is now currently troubling India, especially in the Northeast and especially related to its Act East policy. We have Lieutenant General K.H. Singh, highly decorated general officer of the Indian Army and son of the soil of Manipur, with us. Welcome, sir, to this discussion of ours. A very warm welcome to you and good evening.
Thank you, Dusant.
Before I jump into the question answers and yield the floor to you, sir, I would like to essentially inform the audience about you in particular as to how you have made your journey from right from your childhood up to where you are today. He was born in a small village called Charangpat in Thubul district in Manipur. From there, he went into Sainik School Golpara. From Golpara, he joined the NDA. From NDA, he went to the Rajput regiment of our Indian Army, one of the most decorated regiments, and he himself is highly decorated with Uttam Yudh Seva Medal, Yudh Seva Medal, and AVSM. What do you have? PVSM. He has, in fact, everything which you would want to have in an army officer who of his service. He has had almost 5 tenures in the Northeast, which is great. And as part of his tenure of duty, he was also the ex officio advisor on security matters to Jammu and Kashmir government. He has had almost similar tenure in the Northeast from where he belongs. And now, after having retired with a illustrious career, he is in the middle of everything. He wants to ensure that the people of Manipur, people of the Northeast, live peacefully, become an integrated part of our nation, and we have a promising Act East policy of our country going ahead. To discuss this, sir, a very warm welcome to you again, and a warm welcome to our audience. They are lucky to have you with us. Namaste, Pranam, Shastrikal, what you have for everyone who is listening to us. Sir, diving straight into the question, we have seen what has happened in the Northeast, and we are not going to repeat that. It all started from 3rd of May, and suddenly situation became very violent. There was a second wave of violence. You also wrote an article on this issue a few days back, which has been very well received by the public. I would like to carry forward from there and ask you a very generic question to begin with. Could you throw some light on the overall internal security situation of the Northeast? Manipur, of course, being the focus, but the overall, there are other dynamics which are linked to the Manipur violence, not only Manipur proper, sir. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, General Dusant and Colonel R.P. Singh, for inviting me. What a pleasure it is to meet both of you online. First of
Thank you, sir.
all, first of all, what is happening in the Northeast has got external dimensions as well. I would like to say, begin by saying that everyone is aware of the strategic location of the Northeast India, the geopolitical games that are generally, spoken about in the Northeast India and in the east of India. I wonder if you have read a book by Bertel Lintner, The Great Game East. It is
Okay.
about the great game which is being played out in the region, in the very unstable region of the east of India, including Myanmar. So I would say that what is likely to happen in the Northeast is an extension of the Great Game East. Why I say this? is that we have a very, very unstable neighborhood. As we
That's true.
all know, as we all know, China had actively supported the insurgencies in the Northeast India till Deng Xiaoping decided to do away with this support, as also the erstwhile East Pakistan. So I will say that legacy of all this in some way continue to be so today. Your specific question was on the internal security.
That's right, sir.
Why I said external dimension is that the internal security of Northeast India is linked to the happenings around us.
Okay.
With Myanmar,
Hmm.
to give an example, in Myanmar, the PDF, which is fighting the Tatmadaw, the Myanmar army,
Yes.
has aligned with a particular group of insurgents from the Northeast.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the based group like People's Liberation Army and all, they have they are they are reported to be aligned with the Tatmadaw, that is Myanmar army. So the effects are felt within the Northeast India. So at this backdrop, you see the NSCN IM talks. There are at present more than 15 talks with the
Okay.
various insurgent groups in the
Okay.
Northeast with the government of India.
Okay.
The longest of which is the with the NSCN IM.
That's right.
So,
In,
and there are another 15, with insurgent groups which are yet to commence any kind of talk. So it's a situation where the security situation is not a very healthy sign for the
Mhm.
overall national security of India. So we
Okay.
will explain this further, or if as we go, further into the debate. Yeah,
Okay. So, what I can gather from you, sir, is that there is a definite external linkage as far as Myanmar and the Northeast is concerned. That was a given. But what it appears to me now is that our insurgents are now taking sides on the other side, in the sense that there is a sectarian fight which is going on between the Myanmaris two factions, which is the PDF and the Tatamadao, which is the Myanmar government, and that is somehow kind of mirroring on our side. But how do you explain this linkage of the groups which are now currently internally also fighting with each other as far as Manipur is concerned, and how do you see the Nagaland factor uh, kicking in? It is not kicking in the at the current moment, but does it have a scope of kicking in into this quagmire which is happening here, sir? So there are two questions to it. One is, how is it mirroring? I mean,
yeah.
what linkage is there to mirror this side of the boundaries with Myanmar?
Okay, going back, it's a very smart question. Going back a little about the background of PDF. PDF, as you know, is a conglomerate of all types of ethnic groups.
Yeah, Progressive Democratic Front.
We have approximately 26 groups of the Kuki-Chin groups operating in Manipur. 26 groups under
Okay,
two
sir.
umbrellas. And it has
Okay.
been reported that some of them are aligned with the PDF, being from the same ethnic stock of Chin Kuki group.
Okay.
That is the first thing. The second
Yes.
issue is about the valley based insurgent groups like PLA.
Okay.
They have certain linkages with Myanmar because you have a sizable, not Meiteis, but we have Kate Sans. They call it Kate Sans. Kate actually means the Meiteis. Sans,
Okay.
some kind of mix of Kates, Meiteis, and Sans. So
Okay.
they are operating across in Myanmar, and they
Hmm.
also have certain, as you know, they operate in Manipur as well. So therefore,
Okay.
these ethnic linkages make it a
Hmm.
very a very dangerous cocktail when it comes to our own internal security, dynamic. That is what I want.
Okay.
Your second part of the question was about the NSCN.
Yes, sir.
Where NSCN comes into, I'll just give you an example. A few days back,
Mm-hmm.
the NSCN or their front organization clearly warned the Delhi that please do not touch our Naga territory in Manipur when you arrive at as and when you arrive at some kind of understanding
Solution.
cookies.
Some kind of some kind
That
of solution.
solution. So that itself speaks about the contentious issue of territories between the Kukichin group and the Naga group. So that is where this mix is going. That is where the problem lies. So this is what will certainly impact the ongoing conflict, as you said it.
So I now gather that we are actually the central government actually has to walk a razor thin edge where the Nagas have a claim over some territory, the Cookies also have a similar claim over some territory, the Maitis also have some kind of claim over
I
Maitis
can't hear you.
also have some kind. Yeah, so
Okay.
we were out of communication, sir. Maitis also has some claim over some territory. So and they're all overlapping. Incidentally, they're all overlapping with each other. So how does the central government navigate is something which we will have to closely watch. And really speaking, people like you and advisors like you will have to come up with some kind of a solution. But more importantly, what I want you to answer, leaving aside this particular portion, is the fact that since the Myanmaris are having a governance which is kind of, you can say, kind of propped up by I mean, or supported by the Chinese, also the fact that the groups across are now creating some kind of internal problems as far as Northeast is concerned, don't you think that it is a right kind of a recipe for the Chinese to take advantage and somehow keep India on the boil with this kind of with this dynamics which is going on? Do you see some Chinese hand now taking place, or I mean they're only seizing the opportunity? Let me put it this way: even if they were not interested in the beginning, but now that this situation has occurred, are they doing something like this, or they had already planned of something like this happening so that the Tata Mota is free of ruling the Myanmar? I mean, it gets a clear run as far as running of Myanmar is concerned, and the PDF groups etc. get employed into India against India. What do you say? I mean, this is something which struck my mind. Uh, so, do you see this thing? Uh, some kind of dynamics like this?
Decent. Uh, I don't have specific
Uh,
inputs. It
Information.
a deduction from what is happening on ground.
Absolutely. So
First of all, I will like to say that why will not China exploit any kind of internal problems within our country? They will.
definitely, sir.
That is one. And secondly, we have, as I mentioned earlier in the discussion about the Great Game East, we have a
Yes,
direct contentious kind of a situation when we talk about Act East policy and the Chinese Myanmarese economic corridor. These are
agree.
in kind of a I won't say confrontation, but direct kind of a interest, between Chinese and Indian interests in this particular area.
Okay,
So I see no reason why they will not be interested. They will claim that it is, it's non-state actors. All the arms, most of the arms in the Northeast India. It, incidentally, Manipur, Nagaland is, I mean, flowing with arms, illegal
I
arms.
believe so. I believe so.
These are from places like Yunnan. So therefore, the Chinese authorities cannot say that we have no idea what is happening there in Yunnan.
Oh,
ULFA
yes.
independent quarters are in Ruili.
Yeah. I believe there is a black market flourishing in Yunnan.
Yeah. So therefore, we cannot rule out what you just said, and circumstantial
Evidence.
assessment says that they are bound to be involved in this, given the Indo-China relationship in the last few years.
Okay.
So that is what I would like to add.
Uh, Sir, we have the uh, the questions coming also from audience. So, and I had my next question related to some kind of isms. Are isms going around in this area, or it is purely a ethnic, ethno national nationalistic problem? General Pandey seems to have asked a question. He says, "Will it will be nice if he can give the genesis of the current situation, where I think you can address this issue of isms. A lot of people are talking about, it could be a religious thing, it could be a tribal thing. And you also mentioned in your paper about this particular issue, the article which you have written. So, could you give a brief genesis to the current problem? Triggers aside, you mentioned that the triggers were there, the ruling on the reservations, etc. But could you throw some light, which is very dispassionate and I would say more objective in nature, as far as the genesis of the current problem is concerned, and you can satisfy General Pandey's
Okay.
inquisitiveness.
See, we have 36 ethnic groups in Manipur.
Okay, sir.
36.
Okay.
So it's a legacy of the Brit. I'll say for many years, at least about 200 years, where a particular ethnic group tries to dominate. In this case, the Meiteis being a majority, they had a kingdom of 2,000 years. So I will say they ruled, or they had control over the territory, what is now Manipur and beyond. In fact, almost going into hundreds of kilometers towards Myanmar, and till about what is now Bangladesh. That was their territory
Yeah.
about 5 years back. So,
Absolutely. So that is.
it's a very, very long story. But
Mhm.
I would like to suggest here that it is nothing like religion. If the religion was the issue, actually the Meiteis are the minority, the Hindus are minority here in Manipur.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You mentioned that.
Hindus are actually minority. And it is nothing to do with tribal or non-tribal issue, because there is only one group of tribals who are in conflict with the Meiteis, because there are so many other tribes who are not at all involved in this conflict. So that is also not really true. So what is the genesis? Is, I feel, it's a combination of historical legacy. Then the issue of Meiteis feel that it is about it is about the illegal migrations. Then it is about drug and poppy plantation. Then it's about their existence. Whereas the cookies, who are the contents, the other party, it is about, they somehow feel about their as if it is existential crisis for their ethnic group. So there
Yeah.
is the meeting. It is more about suspicion, and I have quoted in my article also Colonel James Johnston, who was a political agent. He
Yes.
said Indians are generally suspicious by nature, but when you come to Manipur, it is 10 times, tenfold. So that
So
is even today. So it is more about rumors. It is that is how it created this. I feel
yes.
the situation came on around the time between, I'll say, 25th April to 3rd of May. It was full of negativities about each other's intentions, particularly the political class and all that. So I will not go into the details of it. Suffice it to say, it is more about identity issues. It is more about the land issues. Land policies are so. I mean, you have to believe. You have to see to believe it, because it's you can't. You have so many amendments to land laws which have never been. You have so many Supreme Court judgments which have not been implemented at all. So therefore, it has got a legacy which many people actually understand. It is not. There is no adequate time to discuss this. But suffice it to say that there are many issues here, but certainly not religion or tribe, non-tribe.
So,
Thank you.
sir, I take your point, but there were some questions also coming from the audience. They were talking about, could you throw some, since you mentioned the land issue, so this kind of connects with those questions. People would like to know and see as to what is the concentration of the various major groups involved in this conflict, so that they get an idea as to where exactly the land problems are. The map is there in front of you, sir, and this was the uh, this was the question which was asked. Also, a look into the location of Kuki, Naga, Maiti population and the role that the geography of such a location is playing in the present situation. So, you could quickly address these questions, sir, and we can move forward thereafter.
Okay, thank you, Dushan, for this map, which you have prepared very well. Okay, if you look at the center of
Okay,
this map, center is just about 8% of the land.
okay,
Where the it's a relatively, it's a plateau actually. It's not even plain. It's about 2,000 feet above the mean sea level, where about approximately 58 to 60% of the population reside. That is something like approximately about 1,000 people per square kilometer. That is the first thing.
okay, sir.
In the 92% of rest of the area of the state, we have the tribes. I'll say the scheduled tribes.
Okay.
Scheduled in the constitution,
So
which are
basically the
basically,
hills around it, sir.
yeah, hills and hills around it, with a approximate population density of approximate about 51% per square kilometer. So when you look at and the plains people cannot buy land in the hill areas, but the hill areas can buy, hill people can buy land in the valley. So there lies the contradiction. So when you have a situation where in one area is approximately over 1,000 people per square kilometer, in the rest of the state, 92% of the state, you have just about a little below around 50 people per square kilometers. So
Okay,
there
sir.
are other geographical implications where these are hilly areas, not really developed, and all this is there. So this 8% of the central area of where majority are Metis, it is questionable as to whether it can sustain this kind of a population density in a
Okay.
concentrated in a very. So that is the land issue. I'd like to add here, in order to address these issues, there have been many land
Okay.
laws right since the independence. Most of it have not been, implemented. So those are very complicated laws. I will not like to cover it here. Suffice it to
Okay.
say that land was one of the major issues at the in the build up to this kind of a conflict is happening.
Two quick short questions, sir. One, you also see a chin dynamics going along around this area. So, how do you think the chins are really affecting the situation in the Manipur? And the second one is, there is also a growing narrative which is taking place of the drug lords being behind the current violence. And we have one more question, which is from our viewers, is that currently what is the situation now? I mean,
Okay.
so all three you could club into one and then answer it. So,
Yeah. I will First, the issue of the Chins. Actually,
Yes,
uh, Chin state of Myanmar is just south of the map that you have just shown, just little south. It's a Chin state of Myanmar.
that's right, sir.
That is where the
Right.
Chin army, the resistance group, which is aligned to the PDF, they are fighting for their this. And the Chins have a ethnic affinity with the Chin Cookie group who are in northeast parts of the northeast India, including Manipur, then Mizoram, and parts of Assam. That is why the Chin factor comes. That is why Chin Cookie group. And uh, of course, not possible, but there is always one group who says that we must have a independent, sovereign, Jalingam means the land, the homeland of the Chin Cookie group. It's not
Yes,
really practicable, but this kind of aspirations do exist. That is as far as the Chin are concerned. The second point you mentioned was about the drugs.
yes, sir.
It is commonly, I this is my rough estimate, is that in Mizoram and Manipur, the annual smuggling and the poppy plantation, illegal poppy plantation trade, it amounts to anything close between 40,000 to 65,000 crores a year. It's
Wow,
a huge money.
that's a
Who
huge
are
money.
yeah, who are the drug lords? I don't know. But the fact is that I have also put up a theory that Golden Triangle appears to have shifted eastwards, that is towards Manipur and this.
The
So
the the
it's a
crescent is being taken over, sir.
yeah. So it's a very serious national security issue. So that is the angle. But then these drug lords have a interest, I'll say, in kind of sustaining instability in this part of the world, in this part of the country. The third question, third
Yeah,
part.
the current ground
Okay,
situation, sir. How is it now, sir? I mean, just
okay,
to satisfy the that's a
yeah,
very important question, sir, and
yeah.
I
This is
I thought people
extremely.
should be aware of it.
This is extremely important. I will like to take a few minutes on this. What is the situation now? Situation now continues to be of serious concern even today, 40 days after the violence broke out on 3rd of May. We
Okay,
know that Gujarat riots, one of the worst riots ever, was contained within about 72 to 96 hours. So people are asking that today we have 40 days of continuous ethnic violence, which is yet to be controlled. So the dynamics here are extremely different. As I have written in my article also, it is not a law and order issue. It is not it's not even a communal clash. It is something of a gray zone area where trained manpowers, trained armed groups with sophisticated weapons like rocket launchers, drones are being used with highly developed kind of a gray zone warfare. So therefore we must look at it from that angle, and it is not likely to end very soon, because it's a combination of all these forces is playing out in the shape of violence which is taking place. Fortunately, last 24 hours has been relatively quiet. I also say that we have thousands of weapons here.
yeah, they're putting the figure at around 8,000 or something.
Yeah, 3,500 is just looted from the police itself.
That's
And
right.
remaining 4,500 were looted, about 1,000 returned, most of them, unserviceable type. And another 4 to 5,000 already in circulation. In Jammu
That's
and
right.
Kashmir, you have commanded a division there.
Yeah,
About 400 weapons and just about 200 militants kept all of us busy for years.
that's right,
So
sir.
you can you can imagine the situation here. So it's a conflict zone of a different kind. So the situation remains tense. The casualty figures have grown up well beyond 100. About 58,000 are in various camps. They are yet to be relocated to their original homes. People in various pockets like Chorachandpur and certain town areas, they have been cut off. No supplies are going to many of these places. So it's going to be a humanitarian crisis of massive proportion in the future, in the near future. So Government of India and Government of Manipur is trying very hard to resolve this. You know that Home Minister was here for 3 days, and
Yes.
he did whatever he could within that very short time. So we have to wait and see how it plays out. But as I see it, I don't see normalcy returning very soon. It has to be, we have to do far more than what we have already done. Army has done a great job. Assam Rifles has also contributed significantly to this.
Right, sir. I think by and large the problems are there on the plate for everyone to see. What I can straight away infer from what you're saying is that if it is a gray zone problem with the kind of weaponry which is being used, including drones, etc., definitely it is being fueled from elsewhere also. There is an internal angle to it, because you cannot loot so much of weapon systems, etc., without a internal support to these groups which are operating inside Manipur or inside northeast. Next is that they are also connected to areas in Mizoram because of the chain factor there. They are also connected in some way or the other, I am sure, hold handling by the Nagas as well. This is a major internal security quagmire, and our listeners are all getting impatient to listen to, is there a way forward both in the near term and the medium term and the short term? This will be our last question. I'll keep flashing the people who are asking these many questions, so you can understand the kind of inquisitiveness which we are generating. And thanks a lot to our listeners. Please do like, subscribe, and share our video. We will continue to bring you the best of the best as far as national security and nation building is concerned. Thank you very much. And sir, the floor is yours. Way forward in this complex situation, sir.
Sir, I would like to discuss the long term recommendation to begin with. I would say the long term recommendations will begin with good governance, which is missing in most parts of the Northeast India. That is the first I would like to put. Other issues like border management requires a total, overall of border management of 1,762 kilometers of Indo-Myanmar border. We need to have a thoroughly revamped security structure of the Northeast India.
Okay.
Northeast India is a peculiar kind of area which requires a special attention, which cannot be looked at from the prism of Delhi. So I leave it at that. Third point is that we need to we need to follow the neighborhood first policy, because we are going to have more and more of this kind if we do not have friendly countries around this area. As you know, just 2% of Northeast borders are joined in the Indian territory Silicon corridor.
That's right,
Other
sir.
is that war on drugs and narcotics we have to come down heavily, because this is what funds the all anti-national elements in this area. Last but not the least is that I would like to say that we'll have to think about a way to identify and also do take action about the illegal migrations, because they change the, if you change the demographic pattern of various highly highly ethnic,
Volatile, I would say. It
volatile,
becomes very.
so any kind of external intrusion into their territory is taken very, very seriously. This is the long term. When you come to short term, in the short term, I would like to say that we may have to take much more um, stronger measures as far as the law and order is concerned. As of today, law and order is, I won't say non-existent, but definitely I would like to see it little more. We'll have to neutralize all these weapons. 4,000 to 8,000 are in circulation. There is no two ways about it. So we have to do it somehow. The third issue is the, we'll third issue is about, we'll have to empower. We'll have to empower our these peace committees which have been formed. We'll have to empower the judicial inquiries that have been, ordered by the Ministry of Home Affairs, and we'll have to do the rehabilitation as early as possible. I spoke to you about the more than 58,000 people.
Yeah, that's a big figure.
This it's a very big this, and we'll have to have a little more coordination, better coordination between the police and the military and the army and all. And last but not the least, these political people, politicians will have to be involved in some way. They should not become part of the problem. I would like to say that they must become. Most of them are doing their bit, but I don't see things happening positively on the ground. So these are some of the people are suffering. Long-term effects will be quite a bit. Psychologically, children's education and trade and commerce and economically is going to be incalculable. So these are some of the short-term measures. And to sum up, as far as the short-term measures are concerned, the center will have to play a little more role than what they have been doing so far. So this is, in short, I like to say.
Sir, it has been a very, very enlightening discussion, and I think you've laid down some very, very positive steps which we need to take. But as it happens in the Northeast, I've also had about good over 5, 6 tenures there, including the Chief of Staff of Eastern Command. So what I have gathered is that ultimately, the defense forces or the security forces work very hard in a crisis situation, get the situation to a normalcy, and then somewhere when the political solutions have to come in, things start going bad again. I think
Yeah.
we should not fall into that trap. That's the ideal situation. But like one of our viewers, and most of our viewers are saying, there is a person called XOXOZZ. She says that there is a political angle to this situation prevailing today there, obviously, because of, unless political angle is not there, this kind of problem doesn't rise to the levels which we are seeing today. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, we would have liked to have this discussion even more, but based on our guidelines of this tribe, which have been given to me, we should not cross the 40-minute mark. So you have been very candid enough in sharing your views, despite your position, which is very sensitive, which you are holding today. And the one thing which I would like to add here to your solution, which you have said, is I think this time round, because of the gray zone factor which you had mentioned, magistrates have to be there with each and every column of the Assam Rifles and the Indian Army columns, because unless they are there, sir, we become restricted in using the required desired force, at least for the short term, because that is our priority number one. In the near term, we have to get the situation uh, something like some kind of a peace which should return, and then the political angles could kick in, like the ones which you said about empowering, etc., inquiry committees, peace committees, etc. Those also have to go side by side. but the current situation is isolation of the area, uh, so that it doesn't get the external angles kicking in at, at will. Whenever somebody wants, he crosses border management, etc. These have to be tightened up, otherwise we are
Can
going to
I
create.
can I
Yeah,
intervene that
yeah,
magistrate issue is
yeah.
outside the area, and
Okay.
those sensitive areas where the troubles are happening every day, almost every day, are in
Mhm.
the ASPA area. So therefore, actually, the it is only in very selected about 5 6 places where ASPA is not in operation. So actually, where the magistrates are required where ASPA is not in operation. In 90% of the cases area, ASPA is in operation. Just to clarify that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So that's perfectly fine if we are covering the map in that manner. But these were the issues which were raised by some people on
Yeah.
the Twitter also. So I
Yeah.
think that that answers their
Yeah. Yeah.
inquisitiveness as far as the security situation is concerned. Thank you very much, sir. It was great listening to you. We will connect with you further if anything more develops on the northeast. Good night, and good night to
Thank you.
everyone. As far as our viewers are concerned, Shabba Khair, Shubhratri. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Deshan. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye, sir. Bye bye, sir.